community. You've chosen to nourish yourself. So let's begin. My name is Karen. Some of you may have met me before. I'm in Dublin at the moment and we have had a beautiful sunny day, but strangely cold. So if I look like I'm dressed for sunshine, that was my mistake. I should have worn a jumper. So wherever you are, if this is the end of your day, you might be feeling a little tired. You might be glad of a sit down, of putting your feet up. So I'd really invite you to just see what you need before we begin completely. Is there anything that you need? Do you need to put your feet up? Do you need to lie down? Would you be more comfortable just going into that supine body scan position for this practice? What does your body cry out for at the moment? Does it need a little bit of softness under your feet? Does it need something just around your neck to support your head? It's a heavy old thing, the head, so you might need something to support your neck, or even leaning backwards against the chair a little bit and really surrendering your weight into the cushions of the sofa or the bed or wherever you are. And if you find the screen distracting, by all means, just turn off the video so that you don't have to look at anything, if that's possible. And just take a little while to notice, even before you start, are you comfortable where you are? Do you need to move your chair back a little bit from the furniture so that your feet and your legs aren't leaning against anything hard or angular? Let's just take a moment to do that. And if you are choosing to stay sitting, are your feet flat on the surface they're resting on? And what about your arms? I just noticed my elbows were out there. What's that about? My body doing its own thing there. And just taking a minute to settle yourself in the chair, really tuck your bum right into the back of the chair so that your lower back and your spine is really supported there in the pelvis. And if you feel that you've got everything sorted out that you need to, if you're happy to, close your eyes. If you'd rather not close your eyes, by all means, leave them open. If you're feeling very sleepy, you can just raise your eyes up towards the ceiling, letting your gaze be a little bit loose and unfocused, like when you're daydreaming. And if you're feeling wide awake, busy mind, you can let your gaze just rest on the floor, just in front of your feet. And take a little while to allow yourself to arrive. This lovely Seamus Heaney poem I'm going to read before we start, called Had I Not Been Awake. Had I not been awake, I would have missed it. A wind that rose and whirled until the roof patterned with quick leaves off the sycamore, and got me up, the whole of me a patter, alive and ticking like an electric fence. Had I not been awake, I would have missed it. It came and went so unexpectedly, and almost it seemed dangerously, returning like an animal to the house, a courier blast that there and then lapsed ordinary. But not ever after, and not now. Had I not been awake, I would have missed it. And perhaps that's one of the things that we're doing when we practice. We're training ourselves to be more awake. Sometimes the lights can be on and no one's home. You know that expression? Yeah, we want to come home. We want to fully inhabit this vehicle and experience the world through our senses. And it may take a while for the mind to settle down, to come into land. It may take a while for our emotions to stop seesawing or spinning and just have that lovely state of equilibrium. John O'Donoghue has a beautiful blessing for equilibrium. Like the joy of the sea coming home to shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the wind loves to call things to dance, may your gravity be lightened by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so free may you be about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what's said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all it names. May your prayer of listening deepen enough to hear in the depths the laughter of God. So once again, just noticing, is there any little adjustment or improvement that you can make so that your body can be undisturbed, undistracted by discomfort or sharp edges, by hard surfaces or extreme temperatures? And remember that if at any point in the next 25 minutes this posture you've chosen becomes uncomfortable, I really warmly invite you to move to one that's more comfortable, to stand, to lie down, to sit or kneel, or start to move. It is our presence and our intention, our awareness, that makes the meditation, not the posture. Being still can help, but if we need to move, and sometimes we do, that can be another anchor for our practice. Perhaps in this moment you can just notice if any part of you is moving. Is your body moving with the breath flowing in and out? Is there a finger or a muscle somewhere twitching involuntarily? Is there a fidgeting happening somewhere? A knee just bouncing away there? Or are the hands clasping each other? ringing together. Maybe you can feel the movement of your nostrils flaring very, very slightly as you breathe in through your nose. Maybe as you're sitting here or lying, you can feel your body moving with your heartbeat, rocking or rising and falling. Maybe around the waistband of whatever you're wearing, you can feel a swelling and subsiding, pressing against the waistband and then easing back again as we breathe out. Maybe sometimes there's an inclination to move, to scratch an itch, or to fix your hair, or touch something. Just noticing that urge that comes from somewhere in the mind. We're just observing these movements, this flow in the living body as we sit or lie, otherwise still, meditating. Nothing is good or bad, right or wrong, perfect or imperfect. It just is what it is. So can we allow that? Can we just go with it? And if we notice our mind wandering or our thoughts drifting into sleepiness, when we notice that, we can perhaps push our toes into the floor or draw in a deeper breath and let those thoughts go with a sigh. And just connect with the weight of the feet against the floor, the contact points in the heels or along the sides of the feet, through the balls of the feet or the soft parts of the toes. Maybe allow yourself to notice what are the sensations you can feel through your feet. Our awareness is like a spotlight or a beam from a torch into the toes, along the soles of the feet. What can I feel between my toes, along the tops of my feet? Maybe my feet are numb. What does that feel like? What's their temperature? Maybe there are hot spots here and there around the feet. Maybe you can feel a draft of air touching the skin. Or you can feel the texture underneath the soles of your feet. Wood, stone, carpet, rough, smooth, hard, soft, cold, warm. Maybe socks or shoes enveloping the feet. And if you find it difficult to feel your feet, just gently move your toes, or raise your heels above the floor, or rotate your feet in circles, and just, there they are. When you do that, can you feel the joints? So many bones in each foot. Can you feel the joints and the muscles, the ligaments? Can you feel that angle of the ankle joint? Is there any discomfort there in your feet? Maybe, like me, you suffer from plantar fasciitis and the feet can be uncomfortable a lot of the time when they're weight bearing, even lying in bed. But in this moment, is that the case? Actually, no, not at the moment. So it's quite enjoyable to rest my attention in the feet that are comfortable on a soft surface, just right. They're having their Goldilocks moment. Not too cold, not too hot, just right. Breathing that into my awareness and breathing out gratitude for that, for my feet. And maybe just notice as you're sitting here, has your spine collapsed a little bit? Is there a slouch happening with pressure from the rib cage pushing down on the belly? And if you need to lengthen your spine or move without letting your spine being rigid, letting it just be long. Noticing how the breath flows much more freely into the lungs. The rib cage expands much more completely when we do that, when we lean back slightly and let our shoulders be back a little bit, surrendering our weight to the chair. And just noticing, is there anything snagging your attention at the moment? A discomfort? That might be a physical sensation, it might be a thought or an emotion. So just checking in, is there anything persistently distracting? Calling your mind away, your awareness away to some story, to some experience. And just for a moment allow yourself to be with that, whatever that is. If it's an emotion, is it something that you can feel somewhere in your heart, in your belly? Is there a frown constricting the eyebrows together, drawing a line between them? Are the shoulders tight, or the hands clenched into fists, or gripping something? Seeing if you can breathe into that and noticing those areas of tension, can you soften them a little bit? If it's a persistent thought, what can we do with persistent thoughts? We can just acknowledge, there it is, like a loop playing in my mind. There you are. What's that? What's that about? Maybe I need to return to that later and reflect on it a little bit, or tend to some situation. If you need to write that down, if you need to go, hello thought, thank you thought, goodbye thought, for the moment. And just come back to the long spine, the feet on the floor, the sitting bones being pulled closer and closer to the chair by gravity. Perhaps there is some deep suffering, part of our experience in this moment, a grief, a loss, sadness, disappointment, frustration, or anger. The more we try to push those things away, the more they wrestle us for our attention. So can we just allow them to be a guest at the table? Maybe not wanted, but there nonetheless. Can we breathe that into our awareness and breathe out kindness for ourselves? Maybe placing your hand, one in your heart, one in your tummy, or wherever is comfortable for you. Remembering, awakening to that habit of compassion, to that practice of compassion that we're trying to turn into a habit of compassion. The truth that many people do not understand is that the more you try to avoid suffering, the more you suffer. Because smaller and more insignificant things begin to torture you in proportion to your fear of being hurt. So can we choose to respond to our suffering with kindness? John Milton says the mind can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Can we notice when our mind is doing that? Compounding our suffering, our difficulty, and can we gently guide it back to the present moment? Be here now. The more often we have to do that, the more mindful we're being, because the mind drifts constantly. Just keep remembering to be present. Keep waking up. Keep wishing ourselves well. Letting that good wish whirl through us and around us and spread outwards to all the other people meditating with us here this evening, to all the people who we know, our families, our friends, our colleagues, our community, rippling outwards around the country to other countries, around the planet. May we all be well. May we all have peace. May we all be safe. May we all be happy. And let that be like a loop of practice, emanating from us as we breathe in and out. We're going to gently begin to bring this practice to a close, but by all means continue to practice wherever you are for as long as you want, if you like. Before you open your eyes or begin to move, one last poem. Into the hour. I have come into the hour of a white healing. Grief's surgery is over, and I wear the scar of my remorse and of my feeling. I have come into a sudden sunlit hour when ghosts are scared to corners. I have come into the time when grief begins to flower, into a new love. It had filled my room long before I recognized it. Now I speak its name. Grief finds its good way home. The apple blossoms handsome on the bough, and paradise spreads round. I touch its grass. I want to celebrate, but I don't know how. I need not speak, though everyone I pass stares at me kindly. I would put my hand into their hands. Now I have lost my loss in some way I may later understand. I hear the singing of the summer grass. And love, I find, has no considered end, nor is it subject to the wilderness which follows death. I am not a traitor to a person or a memory. I trace behind that love another which is running around, ahead. I need not ask its meaning. So just gently beginning to move now, the fingers, the hands, the feet, the toes, maybe rolling the shoulders or having a stretch. Maybe choosing to take with you whatever calm or equanimity you've cultivated over the last half hour with you into the rest of the evening, into the rest of the week. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, and I'll be here next week. So see you next week.
Thanks, Karen. I just wanted to say a big thank you for leading that and stepping in at a short notice to do so. And I'll just unmute people as I usually do at the end of this, so people can say goodbye. And also, if anybody else wants to, as I'm sure you will, express appreciation for the lovely practice and poetry.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Miss these fabulous people? Not for a second.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
so
Karen.
much.
Bye,
Karen.
everyone.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Well.
Thank you, Ollie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ollie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful.
Thank you and have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
You too. Bye.
See you next time.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.